Hey, ladies and germs. This is going to be my second film review, and for what I believe is the best film of the year, Moonlight. Now, Moonlight tells the story, very aconventional story, of Chiron, a black man growing up in, I believe, Liberty City, Florida, which is, I think, is a suburb of Miami, if I'm correct. And it looks pretty harsh and not very fun. And he has issues with his mother. Is taken under the wing of a kind crack dealer, and never did I feel that I was in a movie. I felt like I was there in the projects, with the wind blowing, as one character says. I think that was Kevin. Now, this is not an easy movie to watch. Some people might find it easy because they might just tune it out, but others will definitely be impacted by it. And it took me two watches, two viewings to really get inspired by this movie. Now, I just turned 28. I've seen plenty of movies about the hood, if you will, crack dealing, all that, traffic, Four Brothers. Looking at my list over here. I mean, I got Blow, but that doesn't really encapsulate it, Requiem for a Dream, but that doesn't really properly encapsulate what this movie's about. And I also have movies about the Black experience, Malcolm X. That's a classic, but not as good as Moonlight. Um, just without looking, I'm trying to think. Which other movie? I mean, there's not a lot of movies that really portray the Black experience in America. Beast of the Southern Wild. That's a great movie. Very, very good movie. Um, that was generating Oscar buzz a few years back, and it's similar to this one. Not as dark, but and entirely different. But you feel that you're not in a movie. Anyways, let's dive in. It's told in three parts. The first part is Little. As you can guess, that follows him when he is a smaller child, and I can't remember if he's really dealing with his sexuality or not at this point. I don't know if he's formed those thoughts, Chiron, but it has some fascinating aspects. One being Naomi Harris, who's just stunning. I love her. Not in the movie, but if you've seen interviews with her and everything, wonderfully brilliant. And I found her straight up annoying in Skyfall and Spectre. I didn't like her as Moneypenny, and I thought she had very, very limited range. Now that was the writer's fault, and they had a totally undeveloped character. But it's a James Bond movie. Of course, there's underdeveloped characters. In this movie, she could not have prepared for the role any better. I've seen multiple interviews with her, and she is absolutely glorious. Now, while I'm rooting at the Oscars for La La Land, just because that would make history and it's such a wonderful flick, I would not be upset to see an upset by Naomi Harris or by Mahershala Ali. Um, which brings me to my next point. Also, a big part of the Little story is the kind crack dealer, Mahershala Ali. Um, he sells crack to Chiron's mother, and he's ashamed of it, which you don't find a lot in movies. He kind of reminded me of the crack dealer that Anthony Mackie portrayed in Half Nelson, the Ryan Gosling movie, 2006. Um, that's another movie that portrays the Black experience pretty well, even though it stars Ryan Gosling. And he takes him under his wings. He's a kid that's suffering. If you saw Mahershala Ali's just heartbreaking and so inspiring speech at the Screen Actors Guild Awards just a couple nights ago, you'll get a deeper insight into the character. But he tries to build this kid up without letting him know that he deals drugs. Kid asked him if his mom is on drugs, and I believe he says yes. But the story of Little is very good and may possibly be the best part of the film. Then we reach high school, young adulthood, and Chiron is starting to come to grips with his sexuality. He's very quiet. I think he's confused. And one facet of that part of the movie is a gangster type kid, if you will. The kid with the dreads that's always harassing him and stuff like that. And finally, Chiron just can't take it and bludgeons him over the head in class with a chair, which was a pretty astonishing scene. Great acting. I'm gonna get a little help from my computer because I want to properly name drop these people. I don't just want to not give them shout outs. So hold on one second. Moonlight is the movie I'm looking for. 8.2 on IMDb, really? And Shawshank Redemption is considered the best movie of all time. Anyways, but let's see here. Alex Hibbert plays a little, does a terrific job, and Ashton Sanders plays Chiron as a young man. Back to that second part, he's becoming distrustful of his mother, which he already was. It really may be the hardest part of the movie to watch, that middle act, because of the nature of it and what it represents. And just, he already lost innocence when he was little, but he really really starts to lose his innocence, really feels that there's absolutely no one on his side when he reaches high school. Then we get to maybe the most fascinating part of the movie, not the best, but maybe the most fascinating part, and it does have the best acting of the three in my opinion, from the amazing Trevante Rhodes. Trevante Rhodes looked older in that movie, I thought, but he's actually a year younger than me. Just turned 28, so he's born in 1990. Anyways, this part of the movie is him trying to avoid his nature and trying to avoid another character you'll see in the movie named Kevin and his feelings for him. He's known since childhood. Kevin is also homosexual. And at this point in the movie, Chiron has grills he puts in for style. He's really built himself up, muscular dude. And he is just trying to be an alpha male, basically. And that conflicts with the other side of him. And there are some spoilers here, so stop if you want to, but I really don't consider this a movie that you can spoil because it just needs to be seen. At one point he says to Kevin, "You're the only man that's touched me," when him and his old friend Kevin meet at the restaurant that Kevin works at. And they drive back. And another spoiler alert, and the movie ends on a terrific note of them just embracing. Might be the best finale of the year. And Chiron realizes he is confused, but I believe also that he needs to get away from the gangster rap. I mean, if he likes it, that's totally fine. But he's putting on this hard scene in the third act that's not him, and I can understand that. I honestly, I lived a very different life. I'm straight, grew up in a great family, and oh, also speaking of family, the scenes between Naomi Harris and Trevante Rhodes in the third act are positively venomous. They're they're scary, and I love the acting and his mom wants him back so bad, but she's a complete wreck. So my hat's off to Naomi Harris and Mahershala Ali, who are flawless in this movie. And I didn't think it'd be getting the recognition that it did, but it is. And a lot of people are seeing it. And I have quite a few mutual friends on Facebook that actually like the movie, which I'm very glad to see. It's a movie that we need in Trump times because Donald Trump, this is a movie that he would probably call stupid and have soar right over his head. And it's wondrous. Go see it. I hope I didn't spoil it too much for you. I should have thrown a little disclaimer at the beginning. And it shows the black experience, the gay experience like no other. The cinematography is pure poetry. If you've ever seen the movie Only God Forgives, the cinematography